Let me know when you're rolling.
You're going.
Okay,
You're on.
we're live.
You're live.
Okay. Welcome to the operations meeting of December the 20th, 2022. Has everybody read the minutes? Are there any questions to the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Motion made.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Ruth, seconded by Bob Rivera. Okay, Miss Monica, you're up.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Happy holidays, just around the corner. Hope everybody's got work and heat, because I think we're gonna need it this weekend.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cold, cold for us. Yeah, nice change. This morning, you're looking at your statement of operations, and this is for the fiscal year ended October 31, 2022, so it's for the full year. The revenue for the month of October, $773,000. We've spent $798,000, so we have a loss for the month of $25,000. For the year, total revenues of $7,218,000. We spent $7,533,000, which produces a loss of $315,000. Our actual budgeted loss was $551,000, so we have a positive surplus of $236,000. If you look down the far right-hand side in your variance column, you'll see the large variance in your revenues, which is your reserve income of $2.4 million, which covers your large variance in your repairs and maintenance, which is $2,273,000, which is primarily the repayment of the HVAC project. Most of the individual line items down the page are under budget for the year, so we came out with a positive $236,000, so that's a good thing. At the bottom, your social activity summary for your theater and dance income for October, $4,925, and for your expenses for your theater, dances, and movies, $7,800. So there's a loss of $2,880 for November. For the year, income from theater and dances, $202,000. Your expenses for the 3 theater, dances, and movies, $310, producing a loss of $108,000. We had budgeted a loss of $79,000, so that is a positive variance of $29,000 for the year. Any questions? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The profit that we got for $236,000.
Could you speak up soft, please?
The $236,000. What happens with that? Does that get transferred into the reserve?
No, it doesn't get transferred in the reserve. It'll sit in your account and it'll be used to reduce the coupon next year.
The reason I'm asking about that is because we to pay for the air HVAC, we used our reserve for the roof in case of a hurricane. We came very close to getting a loss there when the hurricane almost hit us. I'm very worried about that, and I'd like to see that money transferred into reserve if possible.
Well, the committee could vote to do that rather than using the money to reduce the coupon.
Instead of
It could
reducing the
be
coupon,
set aside for reserve money.
because we do need to have some reserve money in there, and we are way behind now because of that.
We have monthly, there's money being put back into that
I
account.
understand that, but what I'm saying is, hold on.
The system is down. The microphone's not gonna work.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
That's what I'm looking for.
if
I
we
know.
have,
I see
if
it.
we have a profit that could be transferred into that reserve, I personally would like to see that, because I worry about that reserve that was depleted because of the HVAC. All right, and I know we're collecting more every month to do that, but that just builds it up slowly. I'd like to see this 236,000 completely transferred into the roof reserve, and also have that where it cannot be touched for anything else but the roof reserve.
That's a problem with that, Bob. And you need to wait till Dan gets done with his report.
All right, well, I will be putting a motion right after that.
You know,
There's been
might I suggest, I mean, it's not a bad idea at all, it's a good idea, but might I suggest till we wait until we finish this whole air conditioning thing?
That's what I'm
Because
afraid
we
of.
may have change orders and unforeseen issues, so there's plenty of time before hurricane season that the committee could make that decision, and we can set that money aside for a reserve.
Yeah, I understand, but that's, I mean, we're, like I said, we're putting in monthly, all right, which is fine, all right? It'll bring the reserves up, that's gonna be over years.
Yeah, but Bob, we have additional costs that we're running into that you may need that money.
I understand that.
So,
What I'm saying is, what we have in profit for now, we transfer into that reserve. Say he come here. Transfer into that reserve so that really, at least part of that.
I think we should finish the report, listen to Dan, and then if there's something left over, you're welcome to make that motion.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mom.
Okay, no problem. The next report is your, cash balances. Your total operating funds as of October 31st was $791,000. Your windstorm deductible reserves were $765,000. And your contingency and infrastructure improvement reserves were $839,000. So your total reserve funds were $1,604,000. Your total available cash, $2,395,000. So as of the end of October, I had only used like $62,000 from the windstorm reserve as of that date. Any questions there? Okay, the next report is your social activities report, and this is for the month of November. There were 4 theater performances during November. We sold 916 theater tickets, collected $10,342. After reducing the gross sales for audience fee costs and sales tax, our net sales were $9,070. We paid the performers $18,225. So for the month of November, we have a loss of $8,955. For your 4 Saturday night dances, we had 758 people attending the dances. We paid $1,390. And for your 4 movies for the month, there were 504 people attending the movies. We paid $1,284. So between your theater, dances, and movies, the loss for the month of November was $11,628. Next report is your revenue collected from guests. You'll see your resident box office sales were $16,925 for November. Your box office sales to guests were $8,654. So total box office sales $25,579. Tickets sold to residents were 1,455. Number of tickets sold to guests 581. We collected guest fees. The total guest fees, which is $3 added to the regular ticket price, collected during the month of November was $1,743. Guest passes sold in the IV office were $2,062. Guest passes sold in the staff office were $885. So total revenue generated from guests during November $4,690. Next report is your Stockwell results. Again, this is for the month of November. There were 54 units sold in this community as compared to the same month in the prior year, 56, so only a drop of 2 units. I'm seeing huge drops in the number of units being sold in both Boca and Pembroke Pines, but you guys are still blazing here with a lot of units being sold, so, I do expect it's gonna continue to go down, certainly from where it was in the past year, but it's still, moving at a pretty good clip. So for those estoppels, we collected $11,250 and miscellaneous income of $80. So a total of $11,330 for estoppel revenue, and the prior year was $11,710. Question? Yes, sir?
I just want to ask a question about the dances. Have you tracked what prior to COVID and now it is?
I certainly have that information.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I mean,
Okay.
just the numbers, you know.
Okay.
I want to know how
So you
far-
want to see the dance attendance like in November of
Yeah,
2019?
Yeah, you know, prior to COVID
Okay,
and the present day,
okay.
so we can see how
I can bring that at the next meeting.
how bad the attendance is, or if it's attendance bad, because it seems like there's just a little over 200 people show up for a dance. And I can remember when, you know, when it was packed.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll
prior
have
to-
more after New Year's, because that's when the flood.
Well, no, after New Year's, you can't count New Year's. New Year's is always packed.
And remember, coming next April, is it April, I believe?
It starts on Friday.
On Friday nights,
Yeah.
right.
you know. Well, maybe we'll wait till then. Wait till April or May. See where it could carry.
Okay.
Your losses are in your theater. You
Oh,
lost
yeah, I know that.
$108,000.
Well, you know, the same old shows every year, I mean,
Well,
give me a break.
But
I've seen them all,
people are not going to the shows.
because it's the same.
I've been
old-
saying, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter. They just had the choir that came, which usually they have people waiting outside the door for tickets. And they didn't even fill that, and that was free,
Yeah, I know.
okay? So that goes to show you the population that's in Century Village right now
It's a
is
working-
not a population that wants to go to the shows.
It's a working population, you know?
But there's a small group of people that feel that they have to have the show.
I have no problem with shows, I just have a problem with same old shows.
I do,
Yeah.
because you can feed a lot of people with $110,000,
Right.
okay? That could be done someplace. Yes, Bob?
Okay, you're asking to see the numbers for the past year?
No, prior to.
Okay, so that would be about 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's no problem. I've got all that.
Yeah,
I've
you've got all
got
that
back
information.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see the
The difference.
difference.
Excuse,
And I know the shows, forget the shows, they go down, they keep going down. You know, I mean,
No, and to prove Fausto's point, they have the exact same shows in Boca
I know.
that you have in West Palm, and they're off the charts. They're making lots of money.
yeah.
But in Pembroke Pines, same as here.
Yeah, but Pembroke Pines is don't get me wrong when I say this, it's more of a Latin community, and Latin communities tend to be family
You're
oriented
absolutely
communities.
correct.
And we're a working community too. The people I know still have jobs.
They had the Latin divos, and they didn't have half a theater full.
I know.
There was more Italian and Jewish people in there than Spanish people,
I know.
so.
I agree with you on the shows, you know.
All right.
I mean, you know.
Well, even though the numbers are dwindling, it's still the most highly attended of anything that's on.
I know, it's the only thing people go to besides the dances.
well, we're having new people move into the village. And a lot of them do not attend the shows. So that's part of the problem.
Most people, all they want to do,
Well, can we have one meeting, please? Please, one meeting, go ahead.
most people now that live in Century Village, all they care about is coming in and out the gate, going to the swimming pool every now and then, and watching TV because they're all working, you know, they're all in bed by 10 or 11 o'clock, you know. They're not like us, stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning, party.
All right,
That's all I'm saying.
all right.
Come on.
Dan, I guess you're up next.
Wait a minute, Maureen.
Oh, Maureen, you have a question? I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
It's okay, I'm back here. Were there more attendance at the more attendance when we had our dances on Friday night to going to the shows on Saturdays?
While we have those numbers, I am not prepared to, I have to ask to, get them together
Oh,
to
okay.
make that comparison.
Yeah.
We know that this way, people will come to the dance, leave when the show starts, come back and finish up the dance. So you'll have the same number of people, but there's that hour and a half where they're at the show instead.
Quick question.
We have to though, I would have to get the numbers.
Okay, just curious.
Just a quick question on that. I don't remember. All right. When we were doing the dances on Fridays, a lot of people liked it and they wanted to keep it that way.
Yes.
All right, because they could go to the dance and do just the dance.
Correct.
And then Saturday, they can just do the show.
Yes.
That's why we're changing it for next season.
Okay,
It's,
so it can't be changed to this.
so,
It's
no,
already
because the
contracted.
contracts were signed. And we can't, the DJs can't change that last minute. They were contracted for Saturday through season. So come April, we'll go back to the Friday night dance and the Saturday show. But I can tell you that over the years that I've been here, this has come up several times, and we've tried to make that change. We even put in a ballot in the paper, asking people to weigh in as to whether they would like to see the dances move to Friday, separate from the shows. And it failed dismally. But when left with no choice, when we had to move the shows into the party room, right now they got a taste of it, realized they actually like it, and so, as Monica said, we'll start that in April. Going forward, that's the way it's going to be. Dances
Amen.
on Friday,
Okay.
shows on Saturday.
Thank you.
Before Dan goes, I have one other thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's
Yeah.
okay. There is a group of insurance policies that renewed effective December 1st. And it's several different policies that are bundled together, which is like our employment practices insurance, our active shooter policy, our cybersecurity policy. All these things are bundled together and they have a renewal date of December 1st. I had budgeted for an increase of 10%. The premiums actually came in at an increase of 9.8%. So we're good to go there. But one thing I did want to share with this community, and I made a decision, unfortunately because I wasn't here at the last meeting, but they offered a new policy for us to pick up for the three communities, a legal defense policy, and it's only about $800 per community. And what the reason I chose to pick up this policy is because if we had a situation such as we currently potentially have in one of our other communities, that we have a major insurance claim, and for specific reasons, we don't have insurance coverage. In this case, it's a sexual molestation claim, and there's limits on our policy with sexual molestation. Had we had this type of policy, even though we don't have insurance, we would have insurance for the legal defense cost. So I figured for $800 per community, it was a no-brainer to add this policy to this group of policies that are bundled together. Any questions? Okay. Your allocation of the total premium of this policy is only 16%. Okay, thank you very much.
Dan, you're up.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm going to go back to Monica here because we're starting off with the saunas and from the,
Okay,
and I know that you have some.
all right, yes, I reached an agreement with the adjuster on our property damage claim for the sauna in the women's locker room at Hastings. And fortunately, we had a reasonable guy who agreed to give us every single dollar that we submitted to him that we asked for.
The only difference is there's a $5,000 deductible, so I'm expecting a check any day now for $71,962. The biggest piece of that was the quote that we had to replace the sauna, which, believe it or not, is $40,000. Also, to replace the carpet in the lobby there, another $16,000, and then the restoration company that came in and dried the place out and cleaned everything up, that was another $18,000. So they were very reasonable with us, and like I said, gave us everything we asked for.
So we're looking into, last time we talked was saunas, okay, we go with the infrared. So we're getting still prices together, and hopefully by the next following, January, we'll have everything together to send to you on that. Plus the carpet again, needs to be replaced, it's stained over there, was all new, so we're gonna get that in order.
Brand new, 3
Yes.
weeks old.
Yes, Bob?
Okay, as far as the infrared saunas, they're not as hot. Is that correct?
Yes.
I would like, I personally would like to see that go away. All right. First of all, I don't see why we should buy new saunas just because of one person who's been doing things in there. All right. I recently found out that not who this person is, but the description of this person, and I passed it on to Eva. All right, and you remember that? Okay, and I feel that once this person is found, he should be permanently banned from the recreation facilities.
It's not our call.
It's not all recreation facilities. You can go to movies and stuff, anything,
Just the saunas.
just the saunas and anything having to do with the exercise. Just stay out of the gym. Let them go to the pools, but not the gym.
You're talking about the sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who put eucalyptic leaves to burn on there, and also drinking his beer in there. All right. Once this person is found, I feel he should definitely be banned.
I can certainly have that discussion with legal when the time comes.
And you'll be, when I get everything to prices, you can make that decision, because I'll have both prices for the sauna and
Excuse me, Olga is leaving because she can't hear. Could
I
people
can't
speak
hear
up a
a
little?
word anybody's saying.
Can you speak up a little, maybe?
And I wear hearing aids and I still can't hear.
I apologize.
People have
I'll
to
yell, I didn't hear.
Not
Just say that.
It's
I'll
everybody.
step up.
Oh, come sit next to me.
Closer.
Bring your chair.
Okay, sit next to Bob.
You think I can hear
Olga.
you?
Come on over here.
Yeah, come on.
Go sit, go,
Sit
go.
on Donald's
Walk to the
lap.
table.
Sit on Donald's lap.
She's gonna walk out. I said, no.
I'm sorry, but I'm 84 years old.
All right, well, you sit there now. Now you got a nameplate. We'll call you Ed.
And I have a question. Is there any way,
Everybody else?
is there any way of putting some kind of a grate or a barrier so people can't put anything on top of the saunas if we were to keep the saunas as they are?
Okay, we could, I've seen some places where they put more wood, so that you can't get into it, but in the case of the one, they hung a towel inside of it. But we put the slats a little closer so that you can't, get anything in there, We could build it up,
We did build it up.
It could go all the way up to the top though.
That's what I'm saying.
Basically what they did is they put it on top of it, we could go all the way up.
But that's what I'm saying, if you can't reach behind it and you can't put through it, that might eliminate, because I mean, people don't seem very satisfied with the electric,
Right.
but we need to tamper-proof, child-proof, stupid-proof.
Senior.
Like I said, I'll bring it up to you, you can make that decision, but we could, when we do that and rebuild them, we can make it so there's a lot higher so they can't put anything on it.
That's my thought.
It would be a lot cheaper than buying new ones that are infrared that are not hot enough.
Right,
All
okay.
right.
It's up to you. Like I said, it's,
It was just, listen, people have been hanging clothes to dry and swimsuits. and but this towel just hung crooked and it just happened to touch. And it's amazing to me how little of the towel was left and had burned before the system came on, the sprinkler system, and put everything out. So it was just one of those crazy things.
Was the person in there?
Yes.
Well, he
They
was in
were
there, they left the towel.
They were in the shower and realized what had happened and went and alerted security. And then has not come back.
Now, what's the possibility of having that person who did the damage paid for the repairs?
Good luck. Listen, this person is not a resident. They are living in a unit illegally. The building has hired an attorney, is my understanding.
Yes.
Okay? And I don't know this person's name. We have a video of her. But do we have absolute proof? The only proof we have is she didn't come back because she's the one that, it was her towel. I put money on it.
Why she has passed the
Yeah,
non-resident do it
she
in
was
there?
using the deceased owner's pass, but I think she must look enough like it.
Oh.
You know, it was very chatty, very friendly with the guards, I mean, you know, so everyone was very surprised as to who it was. I have no name because she's not on our books, she's not on our computer.
So you don't know whether she's still coming in,
No, she's not coming into Hastings,
but she's coming into the village.
yes. As long as they have a key, they've got
Yeah,
mail
hold on,
coming to
this-
the apartment.
This one's on me over. I cannot keep anyone out of the village if their home is in the village.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they don't have the central village ID, they got a key to the unit, they have previous.
They have to have
It's
access
their-
as long as they
It's
have.
their
a
home
here.
until a court order tells me otherwise.
Right.
But if they don't have a home here and somebody is just allowing them to live with them,
That's a home,
that's considered a home.
yes. If she calls the cops will force me to let her in. It's a home until a judge tells me it's not.
A key and receiving mail at the unit, you're in until, right, a judge tells you you're out.
My question is, would WPRF Legal try to somehow legally go after this individual, whether she belongs here or not, for the damage that was created? I mean, we have a $5,000 deductible. Even if we went after the $5,000 deductible, so that the unit owners wouldn't suffer.
I have no actual proof. We're assuming that it was this woman and the fact that she didn't come back. That's what tells me she's guilty, is that she hasn't come back since the fire. But we have no actual proof.
Now, just a curiosity, that unit that she stays in, is she paying rec fees? Is she paying her unit
Can't
fees?
know that.
No, we do know that.
Because if she's not paying rec fees or unit fees,
The mother died, the daughter moved in, and then just did not make any of the payments. And then I believe this other woman was the mother's caretaker, had nowhere to go. So the daughter let her stay with her, and the building is working on getting them out.
Unbelievable.
I mean, eviction is imminent.
Takes forever.
yeah, thank you. All right.
Richard?
Yes, Richard?
This discussion should go on with legal. I don't even know, and you haven't said, did the woman say my towel or a towel?
No, she hasn't admitted, she said she doesn't,
Okay.
they're not
that
even
needs
sure.
to go to legal.
She went out the,
Okay.
if you're
Take
interested,
it
she
over.
went out the back door, it was a rainy night, she goes out into the pool area with a very small towel covering herself. And then she's waving, trying to get their attention through the glass, okay? She kept moving closer, then knocks, and she's pointing, so they never actually spoke to her. So they go in to take a look, she goes back, gets dressed, and she's out the door. That was it.
Okay, take it all illegal, there's all discussion.
What I said.
Period.
Okay,
Move on.
Okay.
next.
Yes, HVAC, we are sort of at a standstill with the holidays right now, but they are moving forward with the test and balancing, okay? Still waiting on some parts for Carrier, okay, for the theater units. But it looks like, the second week, if everything goes well and we get the parts, it could be the second week in January to get a final. The only, we won't get a final because of fire. Fire will take a long time to go through the building. We're gonna have a lot of shutdowns and smoke testing. If it goes the same way that they did in Boca, Palm Beach is very strict with that. Every unit will be shut down, elevators will be tested, everything will, it'll take about 3 or 4 inspections of their part to get this building done, you know, when we're ready to get moving forward. But there, he just, I just spoke with them, they only have a couple more things to finish off with the fire alarm, and then as soon as test and balancing is done, they could basically call for their inspections, and then the last one is fire, so they gotta go through the regular inspections, then fire, you know. But we're at the tail end, you know, spinning to the tail end.
The last time that we spoke, had there been any change orders
Yes,
to this air conditioning system?
yes, and we're working on that with the, after January 1st, we're gonna have that meeting again. We'll set it, I was trying to set it up with the engineer to be here, but it's tough this time of the year, everybody's gone. So, the first weekend of January, we'll set back up, okay, the meeting, all right, so that we can get through all these things. We'll have the engineer here to explain all the things that we did.
Yes, John?
Have they fixed the beeper in the lobby? The fire beeper?
Yes, yes,
Yes, good.
yes.
So we know
That
it.
drives everybody, drives the cars
Yeah,
crazy.
that was the old system with the Siemens inside
Yeah.
it, so
Right.
it's all been replaced.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay. New business?
Yes.
You're still on, Dan.
Men's showers, I guess you have been given the proposals, okay? Anything from the bid committee that I need, because I wasn't at that. I know that Eva went.
Yes.
Asia went, I was
So
not at
of
that.
the 2 bids for the men's shower, which was Dos Santos and the Chosen Group, the bid committee chose Dos Santos. This is for the men's shower at the main clubhouse.
Okay. Any questions on that from the, what you looked at?
It's up on the blog if you wanna watch the video, of the meeting.
Yeah, well, she informed me of it. Next time I like, I wouldn't even mind being on the speaker on that, especially when it came to the shower one, you know, because with the Santos, they did do the other portion of it. It's just, we have the tile there, so that everything was,
No, this is the men's shower
I'm just saying,
alone.
yeah, but the shower, they did the shower area.
Hastings.
At Hastings, you know, so it's just logical that they finish it off, with the tile that was bought many years ago. Hopefully, it's all intact. I think we bought that, what, 5, 7 years ago?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. The other is the Hastings,
So what we just discussed was the men's shower alone at the main clubhouse. Then we're going over to the Hastings locker rooms.
okay.
And so yes, Dos
backwards here.
Santos did the shower,
Okay.
the shower portion of the locker rooms. So
What was the
now,
difference in price on this?
the difference in price.
Not on the second, but the first one with the shower. This is at the clubhouse, right? Main
Yes,
clubhouse?
Dos Santos submitted a bid of $67,550 and the chosen group $75,833. So it was,
Dan, these recommendations from the bid committee are not mandatory. This is an advisory committee, they made a recommendation to this committee. So it's gonna be this committee that makes the decision.
yes, they have to vote on this though. So do you
Yeah.
have another suggestion that you
No,
want
I
for
just
the
think,
men's shower?
like I said, I think the Hastings one with Dos Santos, because he started that project. And again, not again, Dos Santos has done a lot of work. I wouldn't put him in here if he did, but he came back with a later bid, okay, because
That's
he
fine.
missed a lot, missed
A lot of stuff.
yeah, missed a lot of stuff on there, and I basically told him I didn't want any change orders on that. And that's why the others basically had that all in there, because we had to walk through that. But the showers, again, it's hard to get bids, guys, it's hard to get people to get in here. I think it's just fair to try to get someone else, you know, to give bids, you know, because if we keep going to one, I'm already losing a couple others that I went in there, because they just know it's not coming here, you know?
So
But-
Dan, do you have a recommendation for the committee on which vendor you prefer to use for the?
Men's shower at the main clubhouse. There's Isn't that
This
what
is
we're-
at the main, this is at, yeah, the other one at Hastings locker room is because he had done the shower area and the tile was purchased by him back there, so if we don't have enough, it's gonna be on his, and I told him, on his, dime, okay? Cause it's been there for 7 years, hopefully it's all still there, you know?
So your recommendation for the men's shower project is that it be awarded to the Santos? Is that correct?
It's up to you.
No,
You-
he's
No,
talking about Hastings.
I'm still talking about,
Let's be clear on what we're talking about.
Okay, the first
Okay.
thing on here is the main clubhouse men's shower.
That's the one that I think that we should not be able to fix on
That we
those
should
people.
go to the chosen group.
Right.
And what did the bid committee decide upon?
They thought Edgar, because it was a lower price and they know Edgar
The
and the work
difference
that
was only
he's done.
$6,000 or $7,000,
Correct, right?
It was a minimal amount.
Yes, it was like just under 8,000.
We gotta vote on
And, and the reason is, again, I didn't have them go back on this one here, but, you know, there's more in that shower, okay, than we let the eyes when you tear it apart. And I made sure that these guys, but somehow or another, you know, the Santos comes out with something and misses something. But let's just give an opportunity so we can get other people to bid this thing, you know? That's all I'm saying. You know,
So
instead of getting
do
it
you want
all
to-
one contract.
Do you want to table this, or do you want to vote on it?
Why don't you just make a recommendation that you would prefer that the other vendor get the job?
I make the recommendation that the main clubhouse men's shower be given to the chosen group.
That's 67K, right?
No,
No.
75.
Dos Santos, yes, Dos Santos was 67,550 and the chosen group is 75,833.
8,000 more.
Yes.
$1 a unit. And they had a very detailed prospectus.
All right, before we continue, there's been a recommendation by management, now there needs to be a motion.
Right.
Before there can be further discussion.
I'll make,
All right. We need a motion for the chosen group. Go ahead.
first, do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then I would make a motion that we accept the chosen bid to do the main clubhouse men's shower project.
Seconded by Greg. Now we're in discussion.
I think we beat it to death.
Yes,
Can I hear again why you like the chosen group for more money over the Santos?
I don't, not because of more money, I just think the way that the bid was broken out, okay, was a lot more accurate than Dos Santos, because again, we had him come back on the other one, okay, and his price came up, okay? So, and again, to get other bids here, it's just good to just throw it out to another company right now, and that way down the road, because it was just hard even to try to get two others that I tried to get in, they just didn't want to come in here, you know?
Yeah, David Boaz brought this up after we had our meeting, the last meeting. And his suggestion was that we should have gone with the chosen group on that, only because of the breakdown and exactly where it was.
It was more detailed.
It was a more detailed explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any, is there any other discussion on this?
Let's call the question.
Wait a minute.
Hold it.
Has chosen done other work for you?
Yes, they've done a lot of work,
They're good?
yeah.
Working for us now.
That's
And they're the group that's going
They're the
to
ones that.
refurbish the catwalk.
Good.
Plus, they did the gym in, the gentleman, not the same company, but the gentleman that done it, that has chosen group, has done the gym over at Boca Raton, which was an excellent job there, and some other work that they've done, I can't.
Is there any other discussion? Call it, Joanne, please.
Okay, Richard Handelsman made a motion to use the chosen group's proposal for the main clubhouse men's shower. John Gregg,
Yeah.
Ruth,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes,
Olga,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
David Boaz.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank
wait a
you.
minute, officer.
Oh, sorry, except for the officers.
We don't count.
Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Fausto,
Yes?
Bob,
No.
okay, and I vote yes, and it's,
You forgot,
You forgot Dominic.
you forgot Dominic.
That's okay, I'm forgettable.
Dominic, you're here. I'm sorry, I didn't even see you come in.
How can I?
Yes.
Yep.
It's always the tall guy or the fat guy in the room you can't
The
find.
quiet ones, you gotta look out for them.
11 to 1, the motion carries. Who seconded?
John Gray.
John.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we're going on to the Hastings Locker Room project.
Correct. All right. So there were 3 bids, Dos Santos, CBR, and then the Chosen Group. Chosen Group was at 155,088, CBR was at 138,875, and Dos Santos, original bid was at 92,555, but then we reached back out, and he had missed some things, so he resubmitted a bid for 121,500. So it's still the lowest bid. However, they did do the showers, and we agreed with the committee when they chose Dos Santos to finish this project because he did do the showers, and we think it should be done by the same contractor. So,
Before we discuss it, can we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go with Dos Santos on this project.
And we need a second made by John. Okay, now we can discuss it.
I see nothing to discuss. If they started the job, we ought to let them finish it. That way we won't have a cost overrun from another company saying, oh, we gotta do this and do that. That's all I want to say.
That's it. Any other input or any other discussion on this matter?
Do you have confidence in them finishing the job, doing it?
yes,
You do?
okay. He's done all of it.
Dos Santos has done a lot of work
All of
in
the
the engineering.
I'd say we call it a
Okay, Joanne, read the motion, please.
Okay, a motion was made by Bob Rivera and seconded by John Gregg to use the Dos Santos proposal for the Hastings Locker Room project. John Gregg,
Yes.
Ruth Reese,
Yes.
Joyce Reese,
Yes,
Richard Handelsman,
Yes.
Olga,
Yes?
Bobby Levin,
Yes.
David Boaz,
Yes.
Don Vernaggio,
Yes.
Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Fausto Falco.
Yes.
And Bob,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so it carries unanimously.
thank you.
That it?
Okay,
No.
no, one more.
Lagoon.
Dan,
Okay, the
you're up.
lagoon project, again, we went with bringing in Shenandoah, okay? I know that the committee had some questions, I guess, they were supposed to bring up to us.
Well, there were some questions about
Big
if
committee.
any hazardous materials were found in the dredging of the canal. Would there be special dump fees or?
That would be something, again, we ran into this when we were doing the main project and we were doing the, what do you call it, the shoreline, you know, and we did all the testing inside there. I don't see any problems, but we are, sent out a request for information from Shenandoah, okay, to see if they encounter anything like this, but I don't see that happening. It would be the same as, you know, that we have in there, but if we do, we're gonna find out for you.
Dan, I raised that concern only because we've been putting pesticides in there, we've been putting herbicides in there. You have decaying material, and having dealt with this in the past, once they dig it, they have to put it someplace. And some landfills will not take contaminated soils. So I wanted to make sure we're gonna spend $70,000, they're not gonna come back and say, well, every 50 yards or 10 yards of soil is gonna be an additional $1,000 to dump.
We'll verify, but I don't wanna like bring it up, but I'll verify that they're dumping in whatever it is, okay, so that I don't get them in the hint of charging us for something like that.
Well,
I'll watch it, you know, and see, and we'll sign the contract, making sure that they include the dump fees and all.
That's
But
my
I don't wanna
only-
bring it out telling them that,
That's-
because then people then all of a sudden wanna
That's-
make more money.
That's my only concern, that
Yeah, but I will-
the dumping fees are
Covers
included.
I'll make sure that it's included inside there.
That was my only concern.
So an email was sent, we've not gotten a response back yet.
Well, we
we
have
But
can
I
jump on
didn't wanna
that.
put in, I just, the way I'm gonna put it is exactly, the dumping fees are inclusive and all
That's it.
without any
That's all.
questions, not gonna mention anything about chemication.
Right.
What canals are we talking about?
This is the Weir section where it dumps into, underneath Okeechobee, the length from our property to where the,
Alongside the
Okeechobee-
fire station.
Right, it's by the
Fire station and the car wash station right inside there, in between there.
What about that place over there near the, what's that pool you live near? What's that pool?
Southampton.
Southampton.
About-
Southampton. She lives in Southampton. She lives. No, sorry, yeah.
Dorchester.
Yeah, that canal over by Dorchester.
You're on, that's the North Canal, we're talking South Canal.
I know. When are we gonna do the North Canal? That's the one that needs.
We'll talk about that after this matter is taken care of.
This is,
Yeah, that's a little different. Got Dom.
Dan, the bids committee has approved the $70,000.
Right, so what you need to know before you vote is that though we tried to get other bids, and Donald even jumped in and tried to help us with this, we only got this one bid, that's it. And the bid came in at $78,600. It's the one and only bid we've got.
Is this the guy that did Camden Sea
Shenandoah?
a couple of years ago?
No.
No?
They have worked for us in the past. Storm drains.
Shenandoah is pretty large and
Yeah.
it's been around for a long time. Dom?
Can we include some, a phrase that handles the debris that might go into the tunnel under Okeechobee, over the road? Because all this debris eventually is gonna decay and follow the flow of water, and it might start to block up again.
Okay.
So if we can catch it with a chain link fence that we can scrape it off seasonally or whatever.
I'm pretty sure because this outfit's gigantic. I'm pretty sure they're gonna put down a barrier there, okay? Because there's no way that they're going to, let's put Lakewood Drainage District will give them such a hard time. But I'll make sure that the language is inside there, that they will put a barrier prior to exiting towards Lake Okeechobee to stop any of that debris. And that'll just be normal for the construction portion of it. So we'll make sure of that, you know.
That water is going into the Canal 51?
51, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it does. So they'll put, you know, the construction barrier that they put on floating on the lake, the no debris. I'll make sure that portion, I gotta see if that's on that's important.
Donald?
Eva, I know we're slightly over budget on this. I think we put a placeholder of $50K in the budget, and this is $78K.
Yes.
Plus change orders if they come. How are we handling that?
I don't know, Monica, we're gonna be over on this.
You gotta delay doing something else or approve
Still
taking
from
it
Peter to
from
pay
reserve.
calls.
Sounds like my need.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to review that, see.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a lot of
so-
things we didn't, we didn't.
At this point, I need a motion, before we go into any more discussion, to do the lagoon project.
I'll make that motion.
So John makes a motion.
Bob says
Hold
it.
off on that.
Yeah,
All right, before you make this motion, all right, and we're talking, taking money out of reserves again, which is fine.
but are you discussing doing this project?
It's gonna eventually get to that, all right?
Well, that's gonna be.
All right,
We need a
now,
motion, so we
I'm
can-
going
Okay,
to give you
go
a
ahead.
motion, all right? And this is on what we discussed previously, which is the profit. I propose, all right, and I make a motion to take 50% of that 236,541, which equals $118,270.50 to go into the roof reserve, right? And then you could use the other half.
What is it, Bob, what does that have to do? We're working on the lagoon
I
project.
know, but I'm saying if you
We
take
need a
this
motion
money,
to
put
go
it-
ahead and
I
proceed
I
with
just
that.
made a motion.
No, you didn't, you made a motion to take money and put it in reserve. What
That's
does
correct.
that have to do with the lagoon
The
project?
other $118,000,
That's how you wanna
Right.
fund it, but you don't have a motion on the floor to do the project. I need that first, okay?
you're gonna take money from the reserves anyway.
I understand that, but first we need to approve the project, Bob. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So, John, you made the motion?
Right.
Who's gonna second the
I
motion?
second it.
Okay.
Now we discuss.
Richard, now we can discuss it.
Now you can say what you want to say.
Now you wanna say, if we proceed with the project,
I made a motion, you guys just shut it off, all right?
No, I had a motion on the floor already.
You didn't have it on the floor yet.
yeah, because
Yes.
he was, because,
You jumped right
All
up
right,
down
go
the
ahead,
throat.
go ahead.
all right.
Go with
So
your
we have a
motion.
motion and we have a second to proceed with the project. Or is there any discussion on this project?
There shouldn't be, because we only have the one bid, so it's gonna pass anyway.
You don't know that.
Well, there is a
Gotta have
discussion.
a vote.
It's gotta be done.
There is a discussion, Bob, because the budget, we put $50,000.
So you're gonna
We
be-
now have at least 71,000, so the budget, what we budgeted is short at least $20,000.
And what I'm gonna propose afterwards, we'll fix that. Go ahead.
Okay, that, yes,
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
In a situation where you have only one contractor, do you go to the contractor and ask him how many days, how many people, and the equipment? And this way you can get an idea of what the total cost would be approximately, so that you know you're not getting screwed, excuse my expression. You only have one person.
You're trying to figure out his profit margin.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to get as
Fair
close.
question.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Has anybody asked these questions?
Well,
We can't get another bid to get that question
Right.
answered.
You don't need
uh,
another bid. All you
Well,
want to
we
do.
already knew that it would take anywhere from 4 to a week and the debris, so that portion was started, but we can't compare it to somebody else's, you know? So the time period is there.
No, you're not comparing anything to somebody else. What you're doing is getting an idea if this particular contract is giving you an appropriate or near an appropriate price. If you have, if you know how many men they're going to use on the job, and you have an idea approximately how much they get paid, okay?
but that's not,
The days, and if the equipment that they're gonna use, it's probably gonna be rented, you have an idea, or belongs to them, either or. This is just something to give you an idea. That's all it is. And if you haven't done that now, can you think about doing that in the future? If you only have one bid and can't get anybody else?
I understand what you're trying to say,
Am
but
I
it's not
speaking,
something,
am I speaking
No, no, no.
English?
No.
Yes.
no.
yeah.
Yeah, you are, but what you're asking for is almost an impossibility.
You're asking a company to
Yeah,
disclose their
not-
profit
yeah.
margin.
I'll give you an example.
No, I'm
If you
asking.
take
It is in the breakdown.
contaminated, a dump truck
Yeah.
with 10 yards worth of contaminated soil, and you go to a landfill, they won't take it. You have to go someplace else to dump it.
I understand.
So what, they could go to the dump and pay $500 to dump it, but they have to go to someplace else, it might cost them $10,000. They don't know that. That was the question that I asked.
Exactly.
Is it included, is the dumping fee included? If they own the equipment, I don't know, a crane operator, I don't know if they're gonna use a bulldozer, if they're gonna use a backhoe, if they're gonna use a crane, it depends. Crane operators get $200 an hour to operate. Now, if they have to rent it, but that's not our job. Our scope of work is, we need the canal dug out, and we need that, whatever's in there, put to another site. That's what we need to do.
I understand, so the bottom line is, what I'm hearing here is that if you only have one contractor and one bid on a job, no matter what the cost is, you feel you're gonna have to accept it. That seems to be what I'm hearing here.
Well, we're working, as far as I know, I think we've been working on this for 7, 8 months. And we have reached out to everybody, and either they don't want to handle it, or the job is too small, or the job is too big, or they don't want to be bothered. So we finally have one individual. It's something that needs to be done.
If it needs to be done according to the law, which I
No.
understand,
It needs to be done because we have issues. If we have tremendous, go ahead, explain it.
Look, Olga, in government environments, sometimes you have jobs that are single source construction projects. You're gonna use ground and roof, then that's the end of it, right? The government has procedures in place exactly describing what you're saying, that they analyze the single source bid and make sure that profit margin doesn't exceed what is customary. The person who does that is a professional estimator, basically another engineer. So for us to do that, we have to basically hire another professional to look over the job. Dan, is that something?
Yeah, you definitely, yeah, if I had to get an engineer to, you know, for him to do the scope of work for them, okay, it's one, they would be even more intense on that,
The
because
thing
the
is, the
shoreline,
starting happens on
you know,
big
we're talking
scale
about the shoreline,
projects.
that's the other person that.
And that's called a cost plus project.
But
It
we-
is cost plus,
But we have a scope of work too. How many feet, right? Isn't it 15 feet?
It's 500 feet by,
500
feet, okay,
By
by
15 or something?
15 something wide.
so
yeah.
for an under 100K job, to hire a professional to do the thing you're saying, might add 50%.
So you don't have any idea if they could do this job in 2 days or 2 weeks? You have no idea.
It was anywhere, he was saying up to a week's time, you know.
Okay.
All right,
So
Bob?
We only have the one bid, all right? We're gonna have to go with him unless you think it's too much. Personally, I think what was it, $70,000? $78,000 for what he's doing is, and he's gonna bring a lot of people in. It's reasonable. We really have no choice other than saying, no, we don't want it done. So
Right.
it's either yes or no,
You
and
know,
that's it, and I'm
right.
going for the vote.
And the 50,000 that we floated was a pure guess because we
Yeah.
had nobody
We were
giving
going by
us
somebody
any
giving us a
information
date.
whatsoever. So we clearly underestimated.
And I'm, like I said, I'm calling for the vote.
Okay.
Just again, just to let you know too, I mean, Shenandoah is very well and very reputable, okay? And I've priced them out before on certain jobs too, and they've been always the lowest on a lot of things. So they've worked with us on weirs, they've worked on us on all kinds of topics, you know, so.
Bob's call for the vote. I second that one.
Okay. Yes?
I just have one question. Will we have somebody from our side supervising or at least observing what they're doing to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to correctly? This way, we're not, you know, throwing the money away to an incompetent company, and it kind of resolves part of what you're saying.
We'll have a job meeting anyhow down through there. Donald would be, when we get started, we'll have them exactly tell us exactly what they're doing, how far down they're going and across, okay, so that we're all on the same page and somebody will be there from our company at all times.
Okay.
If it's not me, it'll be somebody definitely that's already been instructed to go forward. But,
If you need help, I'm
these
always
guys,
here.
like I said, these guys are very reputable, okay, to go through it, as long as we give them, the 500 feet and how wide, how deep, okay? And we'll make sure that it's done 100%.
Are there any other questions? Can we call the vote?
Please.
Okay, call the vote.
All right, John Gregg brought a motion to use the Shenandoah Company for the lagoon dredging project. It was seconded by Richard Handelsman. John Gregg?
Yes.
Ruth Reese? Joyce Reese?
Yes.
Richard Handelsman?
Yes.
Olga Wolfenstein?
Yes.
Bobby Levin? Yes. David Boaz?
Yes.
Dominic Granaglia?
Yes.
Stuart Richard?
Yes.
Fausto Fabro?
Yes.
Bob Rivera?
See?
And all the yes. And it carries unanimously, 12.
Okay, Bob, now you're up.
Thank you. Okay, my proposal, I make a motion that we take 50% of the $236,541, which equals to $118,270.50, and put that in the roof reserve to stay in the roof reserve. All right, and the other half can go into a different reserve for anything like it's $20,000, it's whatever. All right.
Is there a second on that motion?
Well, I second that.
John seconded that motion. Is there any discussion on that motion? Yes?
Monica, how much do we have in the roof reserve presently, if anything?
$765,000.
And our insurance policy is
If we had a catastrophic claim and all wreck property was damaged, our windstorm deductible would be $994,000.
And that's what we need to get it up to. And this $118,000 will help bring it up.
We need to come up with the additional $25,000.
I personally think that our reserve on that should be $1 million. And that would cover
Paper
reserve, whatever, in case they do an increase without us, afterwards. All right. So, I mean, it's supposed to be at 900,000 now, and we're only at 700,000. So we're already $200,000 short.
How much is going in each month?
Right now, nothing, because the amount that's going back in doesn't start until January. I don't remember off the top of my head. Was it $3? It's either $3 or $4 per unit per month.
25
We always have a special assessment.
Okay. So, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any additional discussion? Monica, do you have anything to say?
I mean,
We're shuffling something on a line that's not there.
yeah, we're doing something that's not normally done, but, you know, I can always take the money that he's asking for and just shift it from the operating account into the reserve accounts, but that's not
That's
gonna
exactly
affect your budget or your P and L or anything, but that can be done.
Okay. Gary?
When my accountant tells me this is something that's not normally done,
Yeah.
that's all I need to hear if I was.
Then if it happens, we can have a special assessment. If we use
This
$200,000.
would avoid the special assessment.
Well, that's what we're talking about here. It's like, if we don't got the money, we gotta get it from someplace.
We have money that's profit, all right? And our reserve for the roof has already been depleted down to 700,000. And it's supposed
I've
to
only
be,
taken $62,000.
right, but it's supposed to be at 800,000 and 26, all right? And in actuality, it should be at 900,000 and what?
963, I believe it was.
Monica, in your,
993.
Monica, in your professional opinion, does this deviate from generally accepted accounting principles? Put me on the spot, I'm
You're
sorry.
gonna be sorry you asked that question.
I know, but I knew that.
And this is a topic I have wanted to avoid, but we
Me
might as
too.
well discuss it right now.
Let's do it.
The difference between your hurricane deductible, you're calling it roof deductible, the hurricane deductible, and your infrastructure contingency fund reserve, there's one major difference between those two reserves. Your windstorm reserve is money that was left over from the shoreline project, which was spread over 5 years.
Right.
Which meant every year, whatever the surplus or variance was between what we budgeted for the shoreline project and what we spent went into the next year's coupon. Okay, so when the project was finished, the committee voted to set that money aside for the hurricane reserve. Okay? The money that's set aside for the infrastructure and contingency reserve was specifically budgeted for that purpose, never went through your statement of operations. It went straight to a balance sheet and has been sitting there waiting to be spent.
And not commingled.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
These
So-
are just things I highlighted in the CAM textbook.
Yeah,
So coming back-
it gets complicated. It really does. So it's a big difference between the two reserves. So when I take money from your contingency and infrastructure reserve, like to cover the air conditioning, it's a revenue and an expense, and it washes. That's not the case with your hurricane reserve, because all that money has previously gone through your statement of operations in the past. I can use the money, it's there, but I don't have a revenue source. It's simply just cash that's been parked, because that cash has already been processed through your statement of operations.
And that cash that we currently have is not enough to cover what the deductible is.
That's true.
And what my proposal is doing is going to add to that, to at least bring it up to where it was, or maybe a little bit more. We need to be at 900,000, all right? You're budgeted for 800,000 or something, all right? We need to raise that up. And that's why I'm making this proposal, and I'm only asking for 50% of what the profit is, which is $118,277.
If I'm wrong, let me know. If we put it in the infrastructure reserve and we needed that money, we could use it. If we use it as a deductible for the roof, that money is set in stone, it can't be used for anything else, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So if you have an emergency and you need $100,000, you cannot touch it.
Look, I'm only asking for half of that profit
I
to
understand
go
that.
into the roof reserve, and the other half, you put it in that other.
Can I just say
But
one
it's
other
there.
thing? What,
Excuse me.
We can use it.
Go ahead, John.
Let me get this right. We got the money here, and we want to move it here.
Right.
But if we move it here,
It's frozen.
forget it.
It's frozen, that's the
Frozen.
point.
But if we leave it there and we need it, we
Like
can always move it there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So,
That's what I'm trying to explain
yeah,
to
then
Bob.
why move it?
You
Can I
don't want to free it
add
up.
one
I
more
agree.
thing?
I agree.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
I completely understand what Bob's doing, and it makes perfect sense. All I'm
Right.
gonna say is you're mixing apples and oranges.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
We can always use
Because
it if we need it.
that $236,000 surplus, if this motion didn't pass or nothing was done with that, next year when we're doing the budget and figuring out what our coupon's gonna be, 100% of that $236,000 could be used to reduce the coupon going forward.
How much of
I
a
agree.
reduction is that going to be? Just what,
We don't
$1,
know.
$2?
Doesn't matter.
No,
I'm just saying.
You're saying, right, it doesn't matter.
At this
That's why I'm
point-
saying, take that money, forget about putting it for the coupon, because it's not gonna be that much. Put it where it should be.
But you
That reserve
understand,
should
you're
be
locking,
here.
you're
That-
locking up, you cannot use that money for anything else. You
That's
understand
correct.
that?
And that's what I want. I want to see that reserve completely funded,
Okay,
because it needs to be.
when was the last time this Century Village was hit with a hurricane? How
We
many years
came
ago?
pretty close this year.
No, when was the last time? 2005,
Reduction. for
That's
the-
right.
okay? So you're talking,
I just want to see that that reserve funded completely. So that we don't have to worry
all
about
right,
it
go ahead.
and get a special assessment if this.
You're not going to,
goes up.
Rob.
Call the vote.
You're not,
All right,
does everybody, ask it, does everybody understand what the difference is?
Yes.
If you split the money or you put it in the reserve fund, you can't touch it. If you put it into the infrastructure reserve, you can use it anytime that you want for whatever you need. Go ahead.
I worry about hurricanes too, but I'm less worried about or concerned about a possible hurricane than the very likely problem when the audit comes up, which is gonna come up for sure. And I just saw my accountant have a worried look on her face, and I trust my professionals. That's just how I feel.
Let's call the vote.
Okay,
We're gonna be putting, starting January, just shy of like $34,000 a month back into the hurricane reserve, based on what's already in the
So we're
coupon.
getting there anyway.
yes.
7 or 8
In
months.
4 months, you're gonna have the money in.
Call the vote.
We,
Call the vote.
You're saying 4 months, and I'm saying, hey, $118,000, that gives us a couple months off.
I just wanna make sure everybody understands, you have a professional accountant, individual, that's telling you that it's not normal practice.
She
what
didn't say
to
it was
do.
a bad idea, though.
I said we're mixing apples and oranges, and it wouldn't typically be done.
That's accountant talk for, we should do this.
Right, all right, let's call the vote. We have a motion. Joanne, please repeat the motion so everybody's clear.
Okay, Bob Rivera made a motion to take $118,270.50 from, and put it in the roof reserve and leave the balance of this year's profit to be used for general expenses. John Gregg.
John
Who
Gregg
seconded the
seconded
motion?
Of John
All right.
Gregg, sorry.
Yes, Dave?
Who seconded this?
I'm sorry.
John did.
John Gregg seconded the motion.
Thank you.
Is there, before we take the vote, everybody understand what you're voting for?
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joanne.
No.
John. Okay, Ruth Dries.
No.
No.
Joyce Reese. Richard Handelsman.
No,
Olga Wolkenstein?
No.
Bobby Levin?
No.
David Boaz?
No.
John Granaglia?
No.
Stuart
No.
Richland? Joe Favreau?
No.
Bob?
You know where my vote is.
And David vote no, so it does not carry. It's one.
I'm just saying this.
No, we're not a bunch of idiots.
Say this, but I wish Andy said it, you know the look to know what he thought about it.
Hothead.
I knew he was gonna leave. He doesn't get his way.
I got something, if you don't mind. Since we're talking about, sorry? Since we're talking about the lagoon, Dan, can we take another look at this North Canal? I know there's some issues about ownership there and whatever, but, I mean, I went and took a look at it this morning because I'm getting some heat about opening up that bridge, which is
Yeah.
never gonna happen. And you know from Hope.
Yeah.
There's nothing left, it's
Yeah.
still there.
Can we hold this topic to the next year, because
Totally.
I gotta talk, I have something I have to talk to with our attorney.
Okay.
But
I know- and I know
we'll
we
get
should
back
talk-
into that topic and we can discuss it a little bit more, after I find out exactly where we're at with that, you know,
Okay.
on our part. Because I think, again, I can't speak yet, but I have to get with our attorney real quick to
And the
see
other
where she's
thing
at.
I just wanted to bring up is, since the synagogue is now being redone, and I've gotten some heat about opening up that bridge, which can't happen, the bridge is a ruin. Dave Boaz brought it up today. Maybe we just jackhammer that bad boy up and get it out of here.
All right.
Before they start using it, getting around whatever we put in.
Okay, we'll, again, let's do the first of the year, that first week we'll
Okay.
meet together, we'll go out there, okay? But let me get with our attorney and I can get a better answer to you on that whole canal, north and south, you know?
Go ahead, John.
Is there any plans for the South Canal?
North and south, that's what we're discussing. As soon as
Okay.
I.
North's the one that particularly worries me.
But what about the South Canal? When is that going to take place? That place stinks over there because it's stagnant water. Well, you've been over there.
Well, when you say the South Canal, John, let's make sure we're talking about the right
I'm
place.
talking about over by her. What's that?
That's North
That's
Canal.
North Canal.
North Canal.
And you're right, there's a stank over there.
Yeah, it's a problem. It needs to be cleaned.
Dan's-
That's what we're talking
It's on
about.
Dan's radar, let's get it on the next agenda, the next year, and go from there.
Just a little bit of history. Back in 2018, the committee asked us to bring an engineer in on this. So the engineer did a scope of work for the North and South Canal.
Oh, good.
That work came in at just under $1 million. That was back in 2018.
So you can add another 200,000 to it.
So just so you know, we do have a scope of work, but there's a big price tag
We
involved.
could almost estimate it, because we know the length of the job we're about to do. And if we just extrapolated that to the length of North Canal, we can have a pretty good number, because it's the exact same work.
We had some good ideas, you know, again, let's go after January, after I get this information that I think that we're gonna be getting, that we're gonna probably have a meeting, with the water department, you know?
Which, this might be good news, is what Dan's trying to say.
Have we Agent Orange that yet?
But you stay out of there anyway.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that bridge on private property or is it on our property?
We don't, it's on the property that's in question right now.
That's the question.
We don't, it's
That's
on,
the exact section.
that's exactly that whole section right there, is that property that is not, nobody, the company does not exist, you know?
Okay. Then, I just don't want that we demolish something and then somebody comes out and says, wait a minute, that's on our property.
That's why I was telling her that before that we work on something, somebody might come back and hit us on it. That's why I wanted to just talk to our attorney, get that information that we would need to have a big meeting with the water department.
So you understand where I'm coming
Yep,
from?
I do, yep. So I don't really, I had told her too, I didn't want to touch that. We could lock it off right now until we can get this information. And then when we get this information, we could go, a bunch of us, with a little political pull to go over there to the water department. Okay?
So, to prevent people from walking over, can we put some yellow tape and spikes in there?
It's already fenced.
Okay,
It's fenced and on both ends.
okay. You know, like caution, but I would put some caution tape that people don't walk around it in case somebody falls in or somebody trips. That, it's only a precaution,
Yeah, we'll make it
because
work.
some people just can't see.
I didn't know what that
And I just want to make sure that they're well aware that it's a non-usable.
We had an engineer look at that way back, that's why we closed that. So that's just not gonna operate, we'll put back on.
You know, my thought is that somebody's gonna say, oh, I can walk around it, I can do this, I can do that.
Or knocking it,
Or, and we're making, if something happens, we would be liable, and we don't want to be liable.
Okay. That's on both sides, okay?
Yes.
Can I ask
Yes,
for
Olga.
clarity? You have a bridge which is on two different properties, correct?
Yes.
All right?
Right.
It's on two, so you don't know who the bridge belongs to.
Just so you understand, that strip that includes North Canal is owned by different owners. Some of them are predecessor companies to Semrec and WPRF, right? Companies that don't even exist anymore, like Winky Utilities, that kind of crap. What Stan is on top of is, it may turn out that nobody owns it, it might be the water department, and that's what he's trying to get to with his legal department. So, we're gonna give Dan a little more time to push on this, but he may come back with some good news.
Okay, so the problem is that the property that the bridge sits on is in question.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the
On both ends.
Because my thinking is that if it's clear that there's two different properties and there's a bridge, half of the bridge belongs to one side and the other half belongs to
That's
the
not
other
the case.
side.
That's
So
not
that's
the
not the
That's
case.
not right.
Okay, we got it. Thank you.
Can we dismiss?
No, others.
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Hold on, guys.
We touched on the topic of otters at the last meeting. So in doing some research on what is the right answer here, you know, read some articles. I have one of them here if anybody wanted to pick it up, but it's basically they play an important role in Florida's ecosystem. And yes, they are a top predator in their habitat. However, they are very important to our fish populations as they tend to eat slower, sick, or injured fish, helping to prevent the spread of disease within our wild fish populations. I think the answer here is not to remove the otters. I think the answer is to stock the lake with more fish.
I agree.
And so I've already put out feelers and trying to get prices as to what that would look like. I've had some requests for some recreational fish be added as well. Big mouth bass. They also wanted a bait fish. They would love the peacock bass, but that is.
They're already here,
We already have peacock bass. They were looking to strengthen their numbers, but they're a hybrid. So they actually don't offer that. That's not on the list where we could pick it and pay them.
I think the otter's skins would make a fine hooded cape for
Yes,
the can.
yes, but there's all kinds of, you know, laws governing that. You know, you have to have special licenses if you want to own more than one pelt.
Or a bedspread.
Or a bedspread, muffs, you know, yeah. So anyway, I'm still in the process of getting prices. We wouldn't do anything with that until the next budget year, but as soon as I have something, I will put it back on the budget, on the agenda for discussion, just so you know what we're looking at. Richard?
The water report, did you find out any?
Well, no, we're talking about that. We didn't have a lot of help from Mother Nature this year. Our rains really came very late in the year. So those lakes were really just left to the reclaimed water that was coming in. We'd like to see what, if we have normal rains coming into the next year. There is a test they can do, all right? But the solution from the test is wildly expensive. It's not
Remember,
something we would recommend at this
We're
time.
not running, unfortunately, we just have a holding tank here, that's what we call it, okay, compared to some of the other places where it's running in and out, okay, retention, so even the cleanup would be way enormous to do. So the way this is going and the way we see it every year is when we do get the rainfalls, it does clear up, okay?
It helps.
And it really depends on how the reclaimed water comes in to change those readings. But we have not had, we've had sort of a like dry, we need to get that water filling this thing back up to get those readings back into normal. Nothing else is gonna do that.
And according to our agreement with the county to take the reclaimed water, we would have to be able to document that we can't take anymore, and which would be a tough thing. Otherwise, we have no control whether it goes in or not.
I think by just looking at the trend, is when we get the rainfalls again,
Yes.
it clears up.
Yep.
Okay? So that, and that's because of how this area is, okay, with the way you have it here, compared to, the one I see for Boca, you know? Boca, two canals, water flowing all the time, okay? Coming in and out from one side to the other, okay? When it drops down, it just sits here and that's it until the rainfall goes, and then it moves everything out, you know? And then,
When you say clears up, you mean the turbidity is
Yes.
lessened?
Yes.
Exactly
Yes,
right.
Lesson.
with Mother Nature's help.
Yes,
If
that's
that
the only
moves.
way that it actually clears, is because of the rainwater, is that what you, because everything else settles down in the bottom of this lake, it doesn't go in.
Rich, before we took the reclaimed water, when I was a child, the water in the lake back in Chatham was so clear
Yes.
that the seagulls used to sight dive. They could see the fish at the bottom and dive and get them.
Yeah.
And we had a problem in my building of seagulls living on our roof. And and I didn't realize this at the time, but once we took the reclaimed water, goodbye seagulls. They couldn't see anything, they moved on.
See, now, as employees, we used to complain about the seagulls because
Yeah.
they would pick
Drop
those,
the stuff and.
and they would come into the parking lot and drop it down, and then they would swoop down and eat.
Yeah.
But sometimes they were dropping it on our cars. It would cause, not dings, but it would, fracture the
We
paint.
would find sardines in the parking lot.
Yeah. So,
But he did
yeah.
tell me too that, the aerators have done a lot for this area too. It really does, with the oxygen, with everything, with those aerators that we put on it. Or it would be worse, we would lose fish, because of them, if we didn't have them,
Little turbidity is good.
A little. Look, everything in moderation, we know that. But we really didn't have a lot of rain this year in the rainy season, So, when we get a lot of rain, we don't get those kinds of reports. The
I move
solution
we
is very
adjourn.
expensive, to treat it.
Thank you, everyone.
Anything else?
Thank you. I want to wish everybody the happiest of holidays. Peace, love, and happiness.
I want to say that you can eat very well from your table.
Couldn't get it to work.
Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year, if I don't see you.
I finally back. I knew I had to write down. I know, right?
Red button on the side?
Did you ask,